Do you ever feel lost in yoga class, like everybody else knows what's going on and you're sitting there confused? Don't worry, you're not alone. This is day one of Start Yoga Here, your 7-day journey to make you feel even more comfortable and confident every time you step on the mat. And even if your hamstrings constantly feel like they're working against you, by the end of this class, you will feel even more clear and comfortable in two of yoga's most common poses, forward facing fold and downward facing dog. So let's get started. Before we get started, make sure that you've warmed up. You have a warm up in your 7 Days of Yoga Foundations guide. So hit pause and go do that warm up. Otherwise, we can get started with a gentle centering. Now, gentle centering is a great way to get grounded before any yoga practice. Some teachers will do it before, some people will do it after, but let's get started and just bring ourselves fully present in this moment. So for now, just come to a comfortable seated position. Place the hands kind of wherever they feel good and close the eyes. And we'll just start by noticing the body. Notice where you're sitting on your mat or the floor. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Let it go. One more deep breath in. And then exhale, sigh it out. Notice where you're touching the mat. Bring attention to your breath. The only thing that is happening right now is you're sitting on this mat and breathing. We've got 15 minutes here. Nothing else matters. Turn off the distractions. Focus on breathing in and exhale. One more together. Breathe in. Exhale, let it go. You can open your eyes when you're ready. So the first pose that we'll be going over today is Uttanasana, or our forward fold. This usually shows up in classes in a variety of ways. It's integrated in our sun salutations, which this whole series is building out, but you'll see it in a variety of different classes as well. So one of the things when it comes to our forward fold position that people think of is that you need really, really flexible hamstrings and you need to be able to touch the floor right away. But the myth is it's not about touching the floor, but what it's really about is lengthening the back body. So we'll get started today. Let's try it together. If you have a set of blocks or books or something that can help bring the floor up to you, it'll be really helpful. We'll start here just by placing those blocks in front of you, and we want them on the highest setting to start. So whatever that looks like, you can stack as many books as you would like to kind of get to this point. If you have shoe boxes or Tupperware, that works too. And we'll get started here with actually a soft bend in the knees. So this is really hamstring friendly. We're bending the knees as much as we need to. Take the hands, let's start by placing them just on the outside of the hips. And I want you to gaze down at the feet. Feet are about hips distance apart. Spreading the toes nice and wide. So what that means is kind of lifting the toes up, trying to separate them. Maybe if you've had a pedicure before, you put those little dividers in between, and then root them down onto the ground. Now you can start to feel your base a little bit. Feel a little bit of buoyancy or bounce, maybe bending and straightening the legs. Hands come to the hips. And bending into the knees, I want you to engage the core here. So what that means is we're almost kind of knitting the ribs together. Think a little bit of not so much sucking in the belly, but if you're trying to draw the ribs in, you'll see a shift here. And maybe the tailbone tilts under just a little bit. Take a deep breath in, knees are bent, and then exhale, coming down with a flat back, bending the knees here. Maybe if you do some other fitness things, this looks like a kind of a deadlift position. So we're bending forward here, and I'll ask you to just rest the hands on those blocks. The most important part about your forward fold is keeping a nice straight spine. So see how my spine is straight versus a lot of the times Folks will try really hard to just touch the floor, and you'll do this kind of like doming position where everything gets really heavy. So if you find yourself doming, notice how the spine feels. Focus on getting straight and then just bend the knees to get a little bit closer to the ground. Take a deep breath in here, relax the head. Roll the shoulders back, take a deep breath in here. Exhale. Maybe you can work on bending one knee and then the other. Breathing in. Exhale. Play with straightening the backs of the legs. You can go as low as you need to. Bend the knees. Bring the belly all the way to the thighs. And then slowly, as it feels comfortable, starting to straighten those legs, and you'll feel the stretch in the back of the hamstrings a little bit more. You can even work on bending into the elbows, and you're always able to remove the blocks or move them to a lower setting. Whatever variation works for you. Inhale. Exhale. Bring the hands to the hips. Plant your feet firmly into the ground and inhale. Try to keep the spine straight and rise all the way up. Let's do that one more time. Whatever feels good for you. We'll start, take a deep breath in. Our spine is nice and tall, so imagine a string pulling you up towards the sky. Deep breath in. Exhale, soft bend in the knees if it's needed. And then exhale, we're just coming into a halfway fold here. Maybe coming into our full fold, tucking the chin towards the chest, and just letting the head hang. Breathe it in here. You'll have a few different variations in class, but today we'll just focus on the feeling in the back of the legs. Notice if it wants to straighten, if you want blocks. One more deep breath in. Exhale, hands to the hips. Inhale, root to rise. Come all the way up. So rooting the feet into the ground and rising the upper body up. Drop the hands to the side and shake it down. So I'm sure that you noticed a little bit of a difference when it comes to your forward fold in the backs of the legs. Usually a big light bulb moment for people is, oh, I can actually bend my knees. It's still practicing the posture. It's still getting really good benefits for my body. So bend your knees as much as you need to. And the main takeaway here is you know what's good for your body. Some days it might feel a little bit different than others. So some days you might need your knees bent. Some days you might need props. And all of those things are okay. Whatever variation of the posture you take is good for you. Next, we'll get into Adho Mukha Svanasana, or downward facing dog. Probably the iconic pose of yoga when you think about asana or physical yoga practice. And so that is kind of our inverted V position here. So this is very similar to our forward fold in that it does require quite a bit of hamstring flexibility. But the myth, again, is your hamstrings don't need to be flexible. You don't need to already be flexible. Wherever your body is really works for you. Downward facing dog is oftentimes, in, I would say, some classes, seen as more of a resting pose, but it's not a resting pose. It's actually quite difficult, and it takes some strength to kind of build up to it. So practice it with your breath, and try some other things. You can always also rest in a child's pose, which can be a little bit wider leg. If that's uncomfortable for you, you can always rest as well in a tabletop position. And a tabletop position is where we'll actually start for our downward facing dog. So to get into our downward facing dog, let's try it together. Fingertips are spread nice and wide in our tabletop. We're pressing into the ground, and we have kind of our middle finger and index finger pointing kind of towards the front of the mat. Eye of the elbow is facing forward. Shoulders stacked over the wrists, and then the hips are stacked over top of the knees. So nice tabletop position here. You can always come down to this position for rest if downward facing dog ever feels like too much for you. And in order to press up into downward facing dog from here, this is, I think, the best way to press back, is you actually curl the toes underneath, take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, you push the hands into the mat and then slowly send the knees up so they're in a hover. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale, extend the legs as much as you need to in order to try and straighten them. So we're trying to get as straight as possible. Maybe you need to shorten your down dog here. So that means bringing the hands a little bit closer to the feet. And you sink the heels back down to the ground. Now, similar to our forward fold, bent knees here are okay. Bent knees are a great way to practice down dog, especially if it's one of your first stretches of the day. Bring the belly all the way down to the thighs. You're really pressing the floor away from you, taking a deep breath in, and maybe you're sending the heels down towards the ground. The feet should be about 2 fists distance apart or hips distance apart. A lot of us think that our hips are much, much wider than they are. So think of if you were to put 2 fists together, that's about the distance you want in between your feet. Holding it here, just for 2 breaths. Deep breath in. Remember, the knees can be bent. Exhale. Deep breath in. You're pressing the floor away from you, which is sending the tailbone back even more. Exhale. Let's drop it down and release. Great. This is typically used as in fast classes like vinyasa, sometimes as a resting posture. It's not a resting position. Your arms are activated, your legs are activated, you're feeling a stretch, and it can feel quite challenging to hold that posture for a long period of time. So always feel free if you need to take a break, come down into your tabletop, or you can come into a child's pose or balasana, either with your knees a little bit wider, so sitting on top of the heels, or bringing them close together. And what that would look like is just bringing the arms out in front and resting down. And if there's another option that's comfortable for you, sometimes these aren't comfortable for everybody, find what works. This is your practice. All it is to support your joints, your body, your mindfulness, and your whole body well-being. And so you know your body better than anybody. Now that we've practiced our forward fold and our downward facing dog, let's try and see what it looks like to put those 2 things together. So let's get started first in our downward facing dog, and we'll do a little bit of a transition, switching back and forth between the 2. Let's come into our tabletop position to start. Fingers are spread nice and wide. Take a deep breath in here, curl the toes underneath, take a deep breath. Exhale, coming about halfway, so we're just pressing back. So see the knees are hovering, we're engaging the core. Maybe we're walking the hands a little bit closer. Deep breath in, and then exhale, I'm going to ask you to start to send the heels down towards the mat as you continue to press the floor away from you. Remember, feet are about hips distance apart. Maybe soft bend in the knees. And we'll do 2 different transitions here, so take a deep breath in. On your exhale, take your right hand, walk it a little bit closer. Then your left, walk it a little bit closer. You'll start to see the heels are coming down a little bit more as you walk the hands towards you, towards the back of the mat. Feel free to grab those blocks. Maybe you're just resting on the shins. Maybe the belly is nice and compressed with the legs. And then find your variation of your forward fold. Remember, spine is long. We don't want that rounded position. Deep breath in here. Exhale. Rest the head. Deep breath in here. Exhale. Slowly begin to bring the hands out in front of you. Walking yourself up, you'll feel the hips start to lift, so bend the knees if you need to, into your downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Exhale. Deep breath in. This time, gaze forward, gaze at the spot in between your thumbs. Bend both knees, and I'll ask you to step 1 foot forward and then the other, so the feet are about hips distance apart. We're already in our forward fold, getting the spine nice and straight. Maybe you've got a block here. And take a deep breath in, fold into your forward fold wherever that feels comfortable for you. Deep breath in. Exhale. 1 more deep breath in. Exhale, hands come to the hips, planting the feet into the ground, root to rise, so rooting the feet down as you press into the ground, coming up. Deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. And just standing where you are, slowly come down and take a gentle seat. Doing a quick body scan before we fully wrap up. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, you can close the eyes. Deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. Continue to watch your breath. Notice how your body feels. Notice if you're hugging the shoulders up, if you're clenching your jaw. Notice how the backs of the legs feel, or maybe your arms feel a little bit tired. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. And slowly, when you're ready, you can open your eyes.